Write a play about Chartism. Nothing fancy, just base it on the real words of the people at the time. Oh well, there's no shortage of material. Here we go. The first Chartist convention had representatives from all over the country and was paid for by contributions from ordinary people. The debate raged between those who believed moral pressure and the obvious justice of their cause would make a reasonable state concede their demands. Sounds horribly familiar. More realistic voices argued stronger measures would be needed. On May the 3rd, the government moved against the Chartists, meetings were repressed, and the brutal General Napier took 6,000 regular troops into the field. A peaceful meeting at the Bullring in Birmingham was attacked by police and Chartist leaders were arrested. I wonder if they held them for 42 days before they charged them. The movement went underground and an uprising was planned. It began in Newport, in Wales, and during a convention at the Westgate Hotel, troops opened fire on lightly armed civilians, mostly miners and steelworkers. The leaders of the uprising, including John Frost and his right-hand man, Zephaniah Williams, only just escaped the gallows. They were deported to Tasmania. My God. He tried to escape twice. His sentence was extended and extended. He never got back to Wales. Okay, this is Zephaniah just recaptured.
However long they keep me here, whatever they do to me, I will never be treated as a fool or a common criminal. Sooner or later, every man who can think for himself must think what it means to be governed by others. In ancient Greece, they had a democracy where if a man did not vote, he was called an idiot. But what about a country where a man with a mind and interest of his own may not vote in that interest? He is an idiot who does not oppose that, whatever the cost. Which is why, in 1839, I was a leader of the People's Charter in Wales, along with John Frost and others. They sacked me from my job as an engineer. So to find work, I moved to the village of Nantiglow. It means brook of coal in Welsh, and there was a river of coal flowing from it in those days, but with little in return for those who had dug it. The minister preached from the pulpit that I, Zephaniah Williams, was a rank atheist that spat at Christ's name. But I replied, I believe a man called Jesus Christ did exist, a good and pure man who cared for the needs of the poor and not for his own interest. If he had lived in Nantiglow, the minister would have had the house pulled down over his head. At the start, I was a moral force man, but we had a saying, peacefully if we may, by force if we must. But it soon became clear to me and others that peaceful means would always be put down. We had to prepare to meet force with force, and so we began to arm and to train. Men were making pikes. John Owens made 50 pikes in 1 week. Evan Edwards, the clockmaker from Tredegar, was up every night casting lead bullets. Miners from Blania were making muskets. People spoke of the Chartist lights as our torches and lanterns moved through the mountains. We even tried to convince the soldiers at Brecon to desert. If they had believed we'd win, who knows? Anyway, on November 4th, 1839, we marched through blinding wind and rain, 6 abreast, with a rifle at the end of each line. At the military headquarters in Westgate, we sent to demand the release of Chartist prisoners taken the day before. At that moment, the shutters opened. Bullets poured out. 22 people lay dead. William Jones staggered home to Trelong with a bullet in his back. Morgan Jones had his leg amputated. And David Morgan died in Friars Fields. And my neighbour from Nantiglow, Abraham Jones, was thrown into an unmarked grave. They captured John Frost. I was on board a merchant ship at Cardiff bound for Portugal when I was taken. It was a harsh lesson when the uprising failed. But I still say that it is the right and duty of every man to stand up and fight by the means at his disposal. But how to win? That's always the trouble. On November 4th, 1840, we set sail for Tasmania, deported for life to this strange place. Still, it is familiar in one way. Do you know what I do here? I run a bloody coal mine. Rubbish coal it is too. Not like Welsh coal.